right, what is going on and how's everybody doing out there on a Thursday, February the 24th? We are here in the Atlanta Bird Gang and Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. So happy for everybody. Just talk to everybody again. It's been a while, man. I had a little vacation time, a little downtime with the family during winter break for some of the kids and things of that nature. But I am ready to get back. And boy, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks when you start talking about the landscape of sports and things like that. And I would be remiss if I didn't pass on just some prayers, man, for some of these guys. Heard today that they are immobilizing some of the guys at Fort Stewart to go and protect the NATO part of the borders and just make sure that all the stuff going on with the Ukraine and Russia doesn't spill into anything else. So just Godspeed and prayers to those guys dealing with that, man. You just, I'm not going to go in long just to say, yeah, it's a whole lot going on in this world. Escapism of sports is always great. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to talk about. And what we're going to talk about these sports. What's going on? What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Everything going on? Look in Uncle Steve's Lounge. I see you in there. I had to see you also. Brother Bicho, what's going on? Good to see you in the Atlanta Bird Gang group. So, man, where do we start? A couple of weeks ago, I think I talked to you guys like the day after the Super Bowl. I think that's the last time we talked. The last time I've been on. I know it's been quite a while. So many rumors, man. I think that's the thing that kind of has me a little weirded out. Just all the rumors about what's going to go on and who's going to do what and what is it going to look like for the Falcons. I think the last time I left, I think we were still talking about, of course, with everybody kind of the landscape changing in the NFC South with Brady officially retiring and, of course, Sean Payton moving on. And Carolina, I really just don't know what direction they're going in. But just now, there's kind of a clean slate in the NFC South. And there is kind of a balance to say, from the Falcons standpoint, do we proceed as going all in while there's this little sliver of opportunity to take advantage of the other teams? I wouldn't say maybe retool. And the Saints defense is still the Saints defense. So they're pretty set there. They're going to lose a couple of guys because of the salary cap. Carolina, there's really nothing with Carolina right now that doesn't say that you can't beat that team. I do feel like that's a team that you can get if the moment is right. And with Tampa Bay, I mean, you lost arguably the greatest football player in the history of the NFL. You can't say it's going to be business as usual next year. You're not going to have just anybody stepping in. And quite frankly, some of those free agents that were hanging around with Tom Brady are probably not going to be there. I don't think Gronk has officially said whether he's staying or going. But yeah, it's going to be something to see what they end up doing. What's going on, brother Rusty? Rusty says, Steve, I finally caught you early. Yeah, and normally I probably wouldn't even be on. This is my off day. Still enjoying a little bit of vacation. So with that being said, I just wanted to see how you all felt about some of these rumors that I've been hearing the last 2 weeks. All of a sudden, I think I heard the one about Jordan Love coming to Atlanta in a trade. Then you hear earlier today, I heard something about Carson Wentz from Indianapolis to trade for that. Philadelphia, Calvin Ridley, things of that nature. So I'm just interested to see what rumors are you all taking seriously, or if there's some rumors that I haven't heard. Is there something that needs to be, brought up to discuss? Obviously, we're still going to discuss what Atlanta is going to do with this salary cap. We are still $5 million over the cap, and we have to be under the cap by March. I believe it's 16th. I need to double check that date, but in mid-March we have to be under. So there are going to be some moves, whether it be by restructure, whether it be by just flat out cutting folks, whether it be by trade. There will be some moves made here in the next couple of weeks. So what are you leaning towards? What moves do you think the Atlanta Falcons are going to make sure that not only you, unlike last year you were looking at a situation where, look, you were just trying to field the team, and you grabbed a lot of 1-year guys that weren't going to cost a lot of money, and you made a mistake and won 7 games. So when I start thinking about what steps this team is going to take, the next 2 to 3 weeks is going to show where the Falcons are going. Now, if they go for the big time, make a lot of room in the salary cap, that's telling you that, hey, that window is open and we're going to jump in and see if we can get it. If you kind of see that we're going to, hey, stay pat, then you kind of say, okay, well, this is year 2 of, I don't want to call it a rebuild, but that's what it is. It kind of sounds like a rebuild. And I think it's all going to start, of course, with the name nobody likes to talk about, but you must talk about, because not only he as a player, but his salary is the biggest deal, and that's Matt Ryan. They just saw something on the post not too long ago where it was saying that Matt Ryan is going to have barring some restructuring or whatever, is going to have the highest cap hit of all time now after next year. And so you have some players in the NFL coming up. But yeah, there's going to be some big time decisions to be made. Are we going to restructure again? Are we going to kick Matt's salary down the road a little bit more? I don't know, but willing to talk about it. Rusty says, this is wrong one. Rusty says, been reading things on the net from numerous reporters about a red flag with Thibodeau being his love for the game. He takes many plays off. I know we don't like talking about dude's heart, but that word motor always scares me. Green Bay can keep, Green Bay can keep Jordan Love. Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame, is going to be a beast. Wouldn't mind him either. And then Rusty also goes on to say Russell Wilson's contract is up at the end of the season. If I'm not mistaken. We have some cap space this year, and Sierra has an Atlanta connection. I just float that idea out there. And listen, I'm going to address the first thing. They actually talked to Thibodeau, and I'm trying to think which show was that. I want to give credit where credit is due. I think that was ESPN. Why am I seeing Sage Smith's face? Sage Steele. I'm seeing her face. But they talked to him about that, about his motor, and he, I think dude is just kind of low key. He kind of, just like, yeah, I know people are going to talk. Nobody knows his heart. And you'll have to look at it. I know it's an ESPN interview, but I'm just trying to remember. I think it's Sage Steele that was doing it with him. And he was, of course, debunking any rumors that his motor is slow. He's not going to go for it. His heart isn't in it and all of that stuff. Look, all it takes is one person to say stuff like that, and that'll get things started. A lot of people didn't want to take, I'm trying to think, what's the guy's name? Micah Parsons. There were people rumoring that his attitude wasn't exactly that great at Penn State the year before he sat out, whether he was going to be trouble in the locker room, whether he's going to be wrong. I absolutely remember those stories happening, and look what happens. Look how he comes out of the box. It's so hard because everybody wants to have a story about these things, and you just don't know what the truth is. You really don't. For one, I think I would still take a look at him just to see. I still think my guy is Hutchinson, but doesn't look like he's probably going to get down to us. But I still have to see. Let's see what these combines do. A lot of times you'll see how these guys go at it during the combine and whether they're gonna, try to, I don't want to say try to break records, but try to go at it seriously and give it a really good shot before a group of reporters, group of coaches, and things of that nature. To me, that's a big step to see how good you want to be, how much you want to up your stock. I can't do it this early. I know the draft is technically 2 months away, but it's way too early. So many things change on these boards in the last couple of months. There are probably a couple of pro days out there that's going to happen. So I'm not totally ready to accept that yet, Rusty, but I hear what you're saying. So many things are going to flow. That's why I was talking about with these rumors. The rumor mill is going to start kicking up big time because everybody wants to be the first. Everybody wants to break the story. So I'll hold back my thoughts on that. Corey, I'm trying to give him a heart attack. What's going on, Corey? Corey says, hell no, don't restructure again. Again, I'm not suggesting that. Corey, I'm the one that suggested we should have been doing the Matt Exodus about a year or so ago. But I also understand the money. I am not foolish. I get it. There are people that come at me so hard and, well, what about the money? And I'm saying, idiot, I get the financial situation. I'm saying in a perfect world. Right now, this is probably the first couple of times that you're going to have where Matt Ryan just happens to be the first true example. He's almost $50 million. He accounts for almost $50 million of our salary cap. That's a big chunk. Considering that the salary cap now, I think it just went over to $202 million, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's a little bit over 200. So that's 1/4 of your team. 1/4 of your squad that you account for. So you can't sit here and try to explain to me that, well, you just got to do it because no. If you can find an option that's going to save us money and or either cut the money in half or trade to where, you know what, if you're gonna trade and still have to pay $48 million, well, at least give me 3 draft picks or 2 draft picks that I can use once this money goes off the books. The big time money is going off the books this year. I'm at a point right now, and I'm just being real with y'all. I'm at a point right now where I'm saying, you know what? We restructured, we made the deal with the devil, and now we're at a point where you got to eat that up. I say go ahead and get rid of it, knock it on out, stop trying to pretend like this is going to go away if we restructure it again. We restructure it again, we'll be having these same questions in 23, 24, and I just don't want to do that again. Let's get it over with and knock it out. That's my point. Rusty says, don't get me wrong. If Kayvon is available at 8, he's the right pick for us, without a doubt. I just hope those rumors are not true. And that's the basis of this video, talking about rumors. And I'm actually going to pull this back once I answer a couple of the questions as well. But yeah, the rumor mill when it comes to the Falcons. I'm telling y'all again, I was out of town and all of a sudden things start hitting my phone and rumors and things. I was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm sure we would take him at 8 if he's there. But yeah, people just want to be the first. Lisa, how you doing, Lisa? Lisa said Dimitrov ought to be ashamed of himself for these crazy contracts and restructures. I guess Blank has to be held to the fire too. Listen, Lisa, that brain trust at the time. And remember when we were doing these contracts now, and I'm not making excuses for the management. The first time Matt Ryan was up for a contract was the year after the 2012 season when the Falcons had just gone to the NFC Championship. The sky was blue. Everything looked shiny. Julio Jones was just in his second year, and we were getting ready to make strides and all of that. And then we kind of plummet a little bit for the next 2 or 3 years. And then the second time Matt was up for his contract, same thing. Just come off an MVP, just come off the 2017 season where we were one horrible four down series away in Philadelphia from advancing to our second straight NFC championship. So the timing that Tom Conlon had, Matt's agent, had, he kind of had the Falcons over their head. Now, at that time, Matt was 33, I think. And I think most folks would have said, okay, but you might not want to go that many years with that contract. But the Falcons were thinking, oh my God, he just hit a peak. He just took us to heights we haven't been before during this era. The sky's the limit. Julio Jones is at his prime. This young defense looked like they were turning a corner in 2017. And so when you signed that contract, it made sense. The Falcon for Life thing made sense at that time. I'm telling you, we can't be Monday morning quarterbacks in 2022. I raised my hand as somebody in 2017 and saying, well, we got to get that contract with Matt done. Now, I'm not saying give the man so much money or so many years, but I am at the point where I was saying, yeah, when it was time for Matt to get paid, pay Matt. When it was time for Julio to get paid, pay Julio. Just not at the exorbitant prices that you saw them receive. And now, with all the Julio drama, and now we ended up going to have to suck up some of that cap space this year, all of those emotional decisions are coming home to roost. So yes, there is a lot of blame that you have to go their way. But if you listen to Arthur Blank lately, if you truly listen to him, he does sound like somebody who may have learned his lesson, because there was the one interview that he just did where he was saying something like maybe he was over the top with the Falcon for Life thing. So I understand where he's coming from. So I don't think his tenor is the same way. Matter of fact, if you hear him, the last interview he gave with D-Led, he was like, hey, but, we got to, and I'm paraphrasing, like, love Matt, but we got to do his best for the team. We got to do what's going to make us a winner. We need more rings. I think he's getting at a point where he really wants to see that championship before he gets too old to see a championship. So yeah, I'm not mad at him because I think he realizes they probably made a mistake. And going forward, I don't think you're going to see contracts. If you're going to see big money contracts, you're not going to see them go super long. Even the contract with, as great as he's been, Patrick Mahomes, that thing is going to come to roost pretty soon. I think they could void a lot of it after his 6th year. But yeah, some of those things are going to come back to get him. So, lessons learned. Lessons learned. This is Brother Arlen. What's going on? So Arlen said, I said this a year ago that it will take us 3 years before we are competitive team. So I say trade Ridley and Jarrett and draft a quarterback in 2023. Rusty says, I don't really like talking about the Calvin Ridley thing because I know it's a sensitive subject, but how long can he hold a franchise hostage before he starts looking bad in the public's eye? As far as just telling the Falcons whether he wants to be here or not, time for the truth to come out. Well, with the Calvin situation, it's not a matter of. I think the fine line that you cross when you're the Atlanta Falcons when it comes to him, that was what came out of Calvin Ridley's mouth. Say, for instance, if you're at work, and I'm no way trying to compare this completely to a football situation or whatever, but I'm just trying to give some type of balance. Say, for instance, you're at work and you have a problem working with somebody who has, I don't know, bullied you, or I don't even want to say bully because hopefully we're not bullying in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, but let's just say it for the sake of saying it, bullied you in a certain area of where you work. And you go to work and you're saying, listen, I want to work, but this situation is, I'm not going to be able to be productive in that environment while I still have these mental blocks. And who am I to tell you how you are going to feel in that situation? We really can't. We can throw out everything we want to. We see allegedly seeing him at games, things that he's saying behind closed doors. We can make assumptions all day. There is still no ironclad proof of what is going on in Ridley's mind, or what happened, or why did it happen, or quite frankly, if he gets over it and maybe comes back. I doubt it, but I'm just saying we don't know, and that's the tough part. When you see somebody have an injury and they're out for 8 months and then the team decides to part ways because they say, well, you're a little injury prone or something like that, that's proof we can see. With this mental health thing, it's just a whole different animal. I go into the NBA when you start thinking about how Ben Simmons treated his situation with Philadelphia before his trade. And all of a sudden now, he wants to talk about it. And they asked him, quite frankly, about, hey, was this, the reporter didn't ask him, was he faking? But he basically kind of asked him, hey, was this the mental thing? And now that you've been traded, is it over? Ben Simmons was smart. He kind of said, no, there were actually things that were going on in my life at the time that would not have allowed me to play at my best. Now, that could have been Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid kind of, dogging him out right after the playoff series with Atlanta. But we'll never know. And maybe he'll tell it in his tell-all book 10 years from now. I don't know. But with the Calvin Ridley situation, because there truly hasn't been anything yet, it's hard for us to give a strong opinion in where I am. Gregory, what's going on? Gregory is checking me out on Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. We appreciate you as always, Big Greg. Saying it's going to be an interesting journey. I'm down, and it is time for a change. I think it's time for a lot of change, Greg. Right now, when you start looking at the Super Bowl team from 2016, and I look at that, who's left? Matt, Jake, Grady, Dion. No, I'm probably missing somebody that I'm not saying at the moment. Are those the only four? Those are the only four I can think of at the moment. We are so far away from that Super Bowl. I was listening and watching Toddy and Strap talk about it yesterday, and that's some good conversation and good stuff they were doing online. But when you start the more and more we talk about the Super Bowl, I start thinking, man, that was a long time. We have turned the roster over just about 90%. And I'm trying to think, did I leave out anybody? Grady, Dion, Matt, and Jake. That's it, right? Everybody else is gone. So we've completely turned that team over. Now, the Matt part and the Grady part and the Dion part it's not a coincidence. I'm looking at as I go over here to my favorite little thing in spot track to see the 4 people I named: Matt, Jake, Grady, Dion. 4 highest paid players, the only 4 people left on the team from the Super Bowl. I don't think there's anybody else. I'm scrolling down here just to double check. I don't think there's anybody else left on here. No. Everybody else is new. So to your point, Greg, yeah, I think it is time for a change. I think it is time to do something new, in my opinion. So I don't disagree with you at all. So let's go to some of these rumors, and of course the fact that we were just talking about it. Calvin Ridley. I've heard so many things about Calvin Ridley over the last couple of weeks, and especially since I've been on vacation. I heard one rumor to Washington for Taylor Heineke or whatever, and it was somebody else on that particular trade. And I just say to myself, okay, look, the young kid, I know he has ties here, so I get it. But I don't know. I'm not. I think he's had a couple of years. I think if he was as advertised in Washington, and of course he was gonna be behind Fitzmagic before he got hurt. Fitzpatrick, of course, but Fitzmagic. If he was gonna be behind him, when he came and had his opportunity to start, I don't think he took full advantage of it. I think he was exposed, and the Washington Commanders aren't the team that I think we thought. Now, also Chase Young going down, of course, significantly crippled Washington's opportunity to make it to the playoffs. But I also say Tyler Heineke, I think he's one of those guys that I think he had his opportunity. And this year, I don't even know if Fitzpatrick is coming back to Washington or not. But either way, Washington is getting ready to turn the page probably on their quarterback situation as well. So Gregory says 2016 in football years is a long time. I agree. I think that's like a whole, you know how people say your window is open, and I keep going back to when I was thinking about the year we made it to the Super Bowl, and we talked about this a lot. I definitely talked about it a lot in the Atlanta Bird Gang, and talked about it a lot on my YouTube channel, where I say that window is closing. And the window, to me, I think is just about shut on what yesteryear's team could do. So to your point, Gregory, yeah, absolutely. When you really start thinking about what we have going on. I got a caller here for the first time tonight. I know y'all see the number screening down there, 1-877-747-2346. Caller, who are you? Identify yourself. Welcome into the Uncle C's Lounge.
Hey, it's Rusty.
Rusty, what's going on, my friend? How you doing, man?
What's up, buddy? Hey, I was typing in the comments, but I was like, you know what? This is too much to type. I'm just gonna call.
Well, you should know. You're the one that always give me a hard time about the phone, so I put it down there when I have the phone on, so you don't have to type, my friend. So the floor is yours.
All right, I want to pick your brain on this. So as far as the Jordan Love rumor goes, right?
Right.
And let me know what you think about this, because I think you're probably going to agree with me somewhat. So if, I'm trying to think how to word it. If Green Bay thought that Jordan Love could really play, I think they would actually not have an issue with trying to get off of Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think if they seen Jordan Love in practice and they said, wow, this kid got game, they would probably not put up with Aaron's antics off the field every offseason. You know what I mean?
Right.
But for them to want to hold on to Aaron through all of this stuff, like, I know he's a great quarterback, but I don't know, something tells me that they're regretting that decision to make Jordan Love their first-round pick 2 years ago because, like I said, if they see the kid in practice every day, they know if he can play or not. And, you know, if he can play, then I honestly think they wouldn't have a problem moving off of Aaron. But them wanting to hash things out with Aaron every offseason is kind of a red flag as far as Jordan Love goes. So that's, you know, what do you think of that?
Not only do I agree with you, think about this, Rusty. They're probably one of the few franchises that had an opportunity. What they were trying to do was relive what they did in the past. Remember, they drafted Rodgers when Favre could arguably be maybe a little past his prime, but still productive. But they drafted Rodgers to come in. When it was time to make the cut from Brett Favre, there was no hesitation. There was no, oh, well, I don't know. They let that go. To your point, if Jordan Love hadn't shown the potential to be that guy, especially with a number one pick now, if he hasn't shown that by now, I'm with you. I would be saying if Aaron is truly kind of, you know, not telling the truth about what he wants to do, I would have made the decision for him. Hey, Aaron, Jordan's our future, so go do whatever you need to do. Go host Jeopardy. Go hang out with Shannon Woodley, even though I think I heard they broke up. But, you know, go do what you need to do. So that's my thought. Yeah, I'm right on par with you with that one.
Yeah, and I know when you say stuff like that, you know, on the page, people, they come back with the reply, well, how do you know he can't play? He never got a chance yet. But like I said, the coaches, they see him every day in practice, so they kind of have an idea of what they're going to get from him. At least I think so. Look,
Matt LaFleur, say what we want to say. Even though he hasn't gotten the job done in the playoffs yet, to be 13-3 3 years in a row, I'm sorry, folks, in a long NFL season, that's still pretty good. So I'm going to say his ability to judge talent is still pretty good. And if he doesn't think Jordan Love, a guy that he drafted, keep in mind, he drafted him. McCarthy didn't draft Jordan Love. That was under the LaFleur regime. So he drafted him, and he's not ready to exactly move on with him. What would that tell you?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's what I think about. I'm glad you brought that up. One more thing while I had you here on the phone, the Calvin Ridley. So I understood exactly what you were saying about Calvin Ridley, but if it was you, and I thought about this for the last couple of days, and I know the chances are kind of remote. If Calvin came to you and you were terrified, and he said, "Look, Terry, whatever was going on with me is okay now. I want to come back. You're not going to have any problems with me. I want to stay." What would you do if you were Terry Fontenot?
Oh, I'd keep him, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I never doubted Calvin's ability as a football player. He runs some crisp routes.
Right.
I was having a conversation, you know, after Calvin's first year in the league. I'm on a record telling people, hey, you know, this guy is already one of the best route runners in the league. He reminds me a lot of Antonio Brown.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
almost the same. And I'm not saying this for any off the field stuff. And
Right.
I'm saying as far as football goes, Antonio Brown, his routes are crisp.
Oh, yeah.
And you can say what you want about Calvin Ridley. He might be tiny and might not have some routes now.
Yes, he does.
I would absolutely bring him back. If he went to Terry, or if he went up to me and I was a GM and he said, hey, I'm good, and it turns out it was all about mental health, I'd bring him back in a heartbeat. Because, like you said, his contract reset, isn't it? Isn't he still on his 4th year because he didn't play 6 games?
No, this would be his 5th year, but something you just said that was important. It's kind of a prove-it year for him as well. Think about it. He's on the books for $11 million this year. He's going to get more on the free agent market next year. So if he does say, I want to come back, he still has to prove to another NFL team that he could do it at the same level. I'm with you. I think he's a great route runner as well. I think it's not a fluke that he did what he did his rookie year. What did he get? 10 touchdowns? I think with us his rookie year. I don't think it was a fluke he did what he did in 2020 when Julio went down and he was second team All-Pro. I think there's something in the mix and I'm sure it'll come out someday, but hopefully he can kind of get himself together.
Yeah, and if you remember last year at the draft, I think it was probably the Friday after we drafted Kyle Pitts on Thursday night, I called in and I was talking to you and I said I'm okay with the pick because I want to see Matt Ryan with Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, and Julio out there running around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That didn't pan out well.
I don't think any of us. I think all of us wanted to see them. Remember, they even had the Falcons themselves came out with remember the little picture they had that had all 3 of them? Well, it had 4 of them. It had Matt, Julio, Ridley, and Pitts in the same picture. So, I get where you're coming from, buddy. And I remember, and I want you to also hang around with us this year. We're going to do something for the draft. We haven't quite made up our minds, but we're going to get together for the draft and hopefully kind of simulcast that on. So I hope you're hanging around. You always do, and we appreciate you. And hope you hang around and listen to us, buddy.
Yeah, I will. Hey, one last thing before I
go. Oh, sure.
I love my Falcons and all, but boy, oh boy, if we draft a receiver at number 8 this year,
yeah.
Lose it.
I think those are, it's kind of funny. Of all the positions that I've heard people say draft, if I keep hearing about the cat from Arkansas one more time or the USC guy, I'm just saying to myself, fellas, this is not the year to draft a wide receiver. This is not. And I don't understand it. Listen, as much as I was against drafting the position of tight end, I didn't have a problem with Kyle Pitts. If you're going to draft somebody that they say is going to be a generational guy. Don't draft none of these guys at wide receivers. So many wide receivers available. I just think getting one that early is going to be a mistake. Plus, you remember, we have Frank Darby. I'm just joking. Well, brother, I appreciate you, man. We gonna check you out next go round, my friend.
All right, Steve, take it easy.
Thanks, Rusty. Appreciate you, buddy. That's one of our favorites there. Rusty always has good stuff to add to the group. Appreciate him calling us. Let me get in here. Let me catch up. Maddie, what's going on? Maddie says trade him, talking about Calvin, to the Jets and get their second of their first round picks. I would not mind if we could do that. Corey says Heineke came into the Benz and beat the Falcons. I mean, who didn't come into Atlanta and beat the Falcons? That's not saying a whole lot. Calvin Ridley, Corey also says Calvin Ridley just didn't want to play with Matt anymore. And again, as much there has, even with Julio, that's why I keep hesitating. I'm sorry, y'all. Even with the Julio situation, neither one of them ever 100% officially came out and said why they left. Obviously, there was some grievance, I'm sure. But nobody has officially come out and said, "Hey, we left because of A, B, or C." Calvin Ridley, could he be leaving because of Matt? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard for me to say until Either one of them says it. If Julio comes out next year and he feels comfortable saying, listen, they didn't treat me right. I thought they treated Matt Ryan like he was so much more important, so I didn't feel better. But he hasn't come out and said that. Calvin Ridley, obviously, he's not talking to anybody, so we don't know. I hear what everybody's saying. I'm not naive. I get it. It does look fishy that they're jumping bait on Matty Ice, but until I get that official, it's kind of hard. What's going on, brother? Said we need to follow the Packers motto. A-Rod saw boys in practice scrambling in 7-7 practice and said to himself, I'm going to bet on me. Yeah, the only problem is, and while I hear you 100% loud and clear, see, that's on the Packers. If the Packers thought for 1 minute, the Packers probably should have listened to the Falcons. Matt Ryan has not had a quarterback drafted since who? Didn't they draft a 6th-round pick or something? Oh, a few years ago. I can't even remember. But they have not had any serious quarterbacks drafted for this team in Matt Ryan's tenure at all. None. And if I'm Matt Ryan every year, I'm saying, okay, then this is my team and there's nobody, they're not even thinking about the future. I am the future. That's why I thought last year was important to draft somebody. That's why I thought it was very important to make somebody, let him feel the heat. When you're at Green Bay and you've been successful at that, it's not like, listen, his playoff journey the last few years for Aaron Rodgers has been, yes, very unfulfilling. He does not come out on top. So it's hard to ignore that. But at the same time, if you're winning, if you're averaging 10 to 13 wins a year, I'm sorry. It's not like you're not successful. You just aren't winning the big games. It's hard. Yeah, he's a successful quarterback that just can't finish right now. Don't know why, but just not. Corey says coming across that middle, Matt was getting him killed. Yeah, but that was his job though. Before Julio showed up, that was his gig. That was what he was doing. That was what he was supposed to be. Somebody got to go through the middle. Julio was going through the middle. At some point as a wide receiver, everything can't be a fly pattern. Everything can't be a go. You got to go across that middle. You got to test the waters. And Calvin was doing well. It wasn't like Calvin was this scrub. Calvin was doing fine. Now, was there a rift afterwards? Was there something personal that happened? Something personal that said? It's amazing to me. I don't know if anybody else didn't pick up on it. My thought was that week that Arthur Smith publicly said Calvin has to do better. I think for me, that seemed like that was the week that things went downhill. Because I think it was right after that. That was the Washington game. The Washington game, Calvin was dropping things left and right. Trust me, I was there and y'all saw it on TV. He was not himself that game. He was not. And really from that point on, it was just kind of difficult. So I don't know. I just don't want to throw things up until I know. I don't know. Thorne, what's going on? Thorne says he just couldn't handle the job of being number one. And that could be it too. It's one thing to go into the season as the number two and it was you inherited because of injury. That's one thing. You're right. That's different from going into the season as the top dog. Because coming into the season, everybody knew Calvin Ridley was the guy. If you as the guy are not living up to the potential, folks are going to call you out. And maybe he didn't want that. Maybe he liked being the number two so he could get all the love to say, well, Julio's on that side, but I'm doing this over here. Maybe he couldn't handle it. I don't know. Nobody knows. Maybe he'll tell us. Maybe he'll tell the next team when he comes out. Maybe he will. Back on Uncle Steve's Lounge said, before I welcome Calvin back, we got to have a talk about all that dancing in the playoffs. If my receiver doesn't fight for yards, we're not winning a Super Bowl, and that's the bottom line. And that's legit. That's legit. That is very legit. Yeah, because when I think about that, y'all, we all are ready to ship him out. We are all ready to turn the page because we're also coming off the Julio situation that kind of dragged on right up to the beginning of training camp. Remember that, as I said before, when Pitts got drafted, the Falcons were the first one to throw out the little picture with Matt, Julio, Calvin, and Pitts. So they thought there was still an opportunity that Julio was going to play ball and be with us. I think the Falcons right now are at a point where they're saying, look, just let us know what you want to do, Calvin. And maybe that decision has already been made. Maybe they've already talked about it. I don't know. Maybe they have. But whatever it is, I hope they get it done. And I hope it's done before the March date that they have to be under the salary cap. Because that's $11.6 million. It's not like you leave any salary cap behind. If somebody gets him, they take that whole salary. No bonuses, no nothing. That's what they will take. This is the option year that the Falcons gave him. So he is still 100% on that. So that would be a nice savings if they were able to do that. Lisa says, are you going to the draft watch? Are you going to the draft watch party at the Benz? I probably won't because we'll more than likely, we've had preliminary talks, some of the admins about possibly doing something like we did last year. Maybe physically somewhere else. Like I said, haven't decided yet, but that was such a great opportunity last year. We got a lot of good feedback with the draft party we did in the group last year. And now, of course, being able to simulcast on Uncle Steve's Lounge and having you all join us as well, which we appreciate us passing 600 members after this past season. I think that interaction is probably what we're going to do, what I'm going to do this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to be at the Dome at the Mercedes-Benz this year. Rusty said Renfrey. Yeah, I forgot about Renfrey. Renfrey from Duke. Yeah, he got drafted. I show you how much I forgot about him because I don't even think did he last more than 2 years? Or was he on it for 2 years? I'm not sure, but I know they drafted him and he didn't stick around. So yeah, I completely forgot about him. John, what's going on, brother? Said that job of being number one with the pitcher we got ain't no picnic. Necro ain't no joke. Them knuckleballs will get you killed. Oh man, boy. Anybody who's listened to me before, there was a time and day that I was one of the biggest Matt Ryan defenders. Now I was one of the big Matt Ryan defenders during the winning years with John Harris, and I had a lot more on my plate to defend with. But nowadays it's hard to defend it now. It is hard. Oh man, because it's hard playing right now. And you know, you start thinking about it. With Julio, it had to be something bigger. Maybe the whole salary thing. Remember how the year Julio wanted a couple more million on this contract. Then they were going to go to the next year and they made him the highest paid receiver. And that was coming off of Matt getting all the big money. And maybe he was there to say, hey, maybe we're Shaq and Kobe. Maybe we're Magic and worthy. Maybe we're I don't know, whatever other duo that you can bring up. And we should be both benefiting at the same time instead of you getting this gigantic contract as if it was all you. So I don't know. Maybe that's what we need. I don't know, but I just hope it's not that he's running these guys from away from the team. That would be sad if he was, but if he's running these guys away from the team, I hate that. I'm gonna go to my second rumor that folks have been talking about, and that's trading Grady Jarrett. Now, if I go back here to the numbers crunch here, and I'm gonna do that and bring that back on the screen. And I look at Grady Jarrett. Grady is 28. This will be his 7th year. And this year's salary is $17 million, guaranteed 42. Now, from Grady's standpoint, you know, you're not going to be able to not. That's a huge hit for him this year, too. Now, he's a free agent after this year. But if they were to cut him, that would still leave us with a dead cap of $7 million. So do you trade him? Or do you redo his contract? If you redo his contract and give him a couple of extra years, this number here, this base salary number would go down. This 1.8 is not going to hurt us that much. But that 7.3 million dead cap for a trade, that's probably very doable. If you really wanted to if you knew Grady was not in your future plans, this is the year to get rid of him. If you're going to do that. And I don't say that with joy, because I think Grady has truly been one of the most consistent players over the last few years. I really do. But at the same time, it's business right now. And when we're in the money situation that we're in, I think everything's on the table. I can't yell and scream to the mountaintops about Matt Ryan and not being successful when Grady Jarrett is on the other side of the ball and maybe holding his own, but he's also part of a defense that has been less than great. So I can't sit there and ignore that. So it's something to think about. Sean says, please trade Grady Jarrett. And listen, I know, a lot of folks are ready to move on from that. I told you before, I think those are the only 4 players left. 4 guys left from the Super Bowl team. And neither one of them are playing at a level. You could argue that out of the 4 guys left, you can argue that Jake Matthews might be the best one left. He might. And that's not saying Matt Ryan isn't still serviceable. Grady Jarrett isn't still serviceable. Dion Jones isn't still serviceable. But again, looking at the money that they're owed this year, for your salary cap, the salary cap that's going to be $200 million, you are paying Matt Ryan $30 million this year. And like I said, cap room and what they're paying them are 2 different things. The cap room is because we were foolishly extending him and pushing bonus money down the line. So when you start talking about salary cap, let me go here because that's where you really need to look. I'm trying to pull it up for y'all real quick. Shoot. Dang it. I'm trying to pull it up, but I'll pull it up in a second. But that's a lot of money that we owe these guys. And you can't keep pushing that money back down the line. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. So Dang it, of all the times, now the thing doesn't want to update over here. But okay, salary cap table. All right, I'll find that out in another second. Okay, Sean says one sack for the year. Yeah, and listen, Grady was never meant to be a sack master. Grady was meant to kind of control the middle. But that being said, I understand where you're coming from. We didn't pay Grady Jarrett to get 10 sacks a year. It would be nice, but we didn't. And all the comparisons to Aaron Donald, he's not Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is, matter of fact, there's not another defensive player that's Aaron Donald. So I get what you're saying. Fallstar says, think about it. The team is not very good, and you got your leader or quarterback cussing you out, then throwing you into coverage, and then slapping his chest like that's on me. I don't blame Calvin Ridley, and I understand that, and I get it. Listen, egos are fragile now, and when you're the highest paid person on the team, they'll accept that behavior from Matt Ryan and call it leadership. But who goes to Matt Ryan when you make some of the, quite frankly, bonehead plays that you make during the year? So it's tough. It is tough. I'm not suggesting that Calvin and Julio didn't have a point. If it's the fact that it's just time for us to move away from Matt. John says, now that's two different things. Grady needs help. Ryan is getting away with murder. Grady needs a running partner, and Rush is the best one he got. Now, I will say Rush has helped him out on the defensive line quite a bit. I will give you credit on that. You're absolutely right. That's something that has been a lot different in what you've been seeing from him. Also, say, and for those people screaming to trade Grady, if you do, your defense is liable to be worse. Okay, I can hear you on there. Sean counters and says John Harris said can't get any worse. Well, the defense has definitely not been the greatest at all. So yeah, it's a tough one, y'all. It is definitely a tough one. That's for sure. Okay, so we talked about Grady. So let's talk about. I mentioned his name as well. Rumor or possibility of staying. Cut or trade Dion Jones. We go to Dion's number. Let's look what Dion's number is. Now that I can pull up. I don't know why all of a sudden wants to take a half screen on me. Okay. So we talk about Dion. Dion still has this is 2022 right now. Dion's cap hit is a different story. Dion is somebody that you really have to make a decision on maybe extending or restructuring more. This $24 million hit, that's a lot of money. And it's not going to be easy to just flat out trade him because you're still going to owe this amount of money. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Next year would have been a perfect year because you're down to $5 million by then for the cap hit. It's something to think about when you start talking about the future of what the Falcons are going to do. That's a big deal. That's a big deal salary right there. $24 million salary cap hit. So as much as we're talking about Grady and Ryan, that Dion situation is going to be interesting. John says, and think about this. What causes more stress? Cussing somebody out or wanted to cuss them out by holding it in. This might be the source of the stress. I go through this every day at work. Trust me, I know you do. And that is, hey, he might be right. And everybody on the team can't be a leader. Everybody can't. Calvin maybe not had that. I know as much as people used to talk about Julio led by example. I don't know what Julio was like in the locker room, but it doesn't seem like Julio is that guy. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe there are people that will tell me otherwise, but Julio doesn't seem like he's that guy that I don't know, that rally the guys, unless he like I said, lead by example. Yes. Sean says if we can't trade him, need to move him from the middle linebacker position. That could be something to think about. He's fast too. It seems like, but a lot though, Sean. Fourier played a lot of the middle this year, though, right? I could be wrong. Somebody back me up on that, whether that's true or not. I think Dion played a little bit more of the wheel last year, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. But I thought Fourier played more middle this year. But either way, yeah, he probably needs to switch up. Orion, what's going on? Says if you bring some talented players in to better the defense, it will spark for everyone else to play. Here's the thing, Orion, as we're talking about this, in order for them to get better, they got to do something with that salary. They got to. They have to do something with their cap, with the salary cap. So I don't know. We're gonna see what we do next. Back in Uncle Steve's lounge, say Uncle, I would trade Debo if possible, not re-sign Fourier. Re-signing Fourier is the equivalent of going shopping without rent money. Yeah, Fourier, I think is probably going to end up. They're probably going to have to let him test the waters, because I know he's going to probably get a contract that's going to pay him upwards of $8 to $10 million a year. I'm sure somebody is going to sign him to that money. He has definitely been. Listen, he didn't have the breakout year where he was like he was doing in 2020. As horrible as 2020 was, he was definitely doing some good things. But he did lead the league in tackles. That could be interpreted other ways. But at the same time, I think he's somebody that's going to really get paid this year out on the market. I see him truly doing much better out there. I don't think he's going to be here this year. Lisa says, Julio didn't seem like a consistent team leader to me. He was revered because of his athletic ability. And sometimes that being a leader on the field, being a leader by example, it is still a form of leadership. I think those guys see how he practices, see how, especially in the beginning of the year, gutted it out a lot. That 2016 year when he was playing with the bad turf toe and stuff like that, that probably went a long way with his legend that year. Of course, Falcon fans will tell you, okay, bro, but now you doing that every year. And there were a lot of times he wasn't on the field. We definitely saw the yips with some of his catches and drops over the years. So, yeah, you get a bye, but then you don't get a bye. And when you become the highest paid player in the league, I'm sorry, you're on a different level now. Now the microscope comes on. Now it's not looking at you and saying, oh, Julio only gets paid this. He should get a raise. Once you get that raise, now all bets off. Think about Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas didn't play a down this year, right? Or did he? I don't think he did. And you think next year the scrutiny isn't going to be on? Michael Thomas got one of those Julio contracts. And you don't think people are going to hold him accountable? I think they will. And that's what you have to remember, folks, the folks that the money not only is for your talent, the money is also for you to be a leader to others, so you can bring other folks up. And I think with Calvin gone, with Julio gone, yeah, that leaves the cupboard bare. Russell Gage is a free agent. Does he come back? We are, quite frankly, have the opportunity to have a brand new receiving core. I think it's out of Frank Darby. I think Frank Darby might be the only person on contract as a wide receiver. Might be. Let me double check. I think he's the only one under contract on the team. Let me pull this down. I know Ridley is, but I'm saying let me see. Wide receiver Frank Darby. Austin Trammell. I don't even know who that is. Yeah, that's it. Calvin Ridley and Frank Darby. That's it. So, yeah, that's pretty jacked up. Sean says no leadership since Allen left. Yeah, listen, I know a lot of people were kind of throwing salt on him with his retirement announcement the other day, but Rico was a leader for this team, and you could say what you want to say. He did a decent job. I know the year he got hurt in 2018, the year that all of them went down, that was unfortunately probably the last time you kind of thought of him in that really solid player. But as far as the leader is concerned, yeah, we actually do miss his leadership. Arion says we are screwed then because all the players that held their own, we can't afford to pay to bring back. So we need to make sure our pick in the draft counts. And listen, that's why whatever goes on these next couple of weeks with the Atlanta Falcons, and something's going to go on. Something has to happen because we have to get under the cap, whether it be people targeted to cut. I know Tyler Davison is someone that people are talking about. I don't think Mike Davis is going to make it one more year here. I don't think he will. I hate it for him because, being the hometown guy and stuff like that. But I'm not sure if he's going to make it to the 2022 roster just due to the performance he gave this year. I think we were really disappointed that he didn't turn out to be, quite frankly, I think Todd Gurley did a better job when he came in here 2 years ago. And as often hurt as he was, I think he did a much better job that year. But yeah, we got a lot of moves to make. And I'm not sure whether keeping around old favorites just for the namesake. And now the only recognizable guys right now for Atlanta are Matt. And I say recognizable, but name are Matt and Grady. And I'm not including Calvin because right now he's inactive. And I say inactive on the team. I know he's on the roster, but he's not, pretty much there. So we got a lot of things we got to do. Got a lot of things we got to do. That's for sure. Mercy came up, put Mike Davis's legs. And little Mercy is messing with me because I told everybody this summer when they showed that picture, and I don't even know if I still have that picture or not. They showed that picture of Mike Davis's legs, and everybody was losing their mind talking about how, oh man, look at his legs. Let's see if I can find that picture. It's so funny. Oh, look at those thighs. He's gonna make everybody look bad. Oh shoot. I gotta find Falcons pictures. Here we go. But that was so funny to me. Mike Davis. God dog it. I thought I still had it. Oh, I guess I don't. My bad. But yeah, when they showed that training camp picture of him and he had all of the leg pictures, there was just something about that I was just like, yeah, y'all are absolutely putting way too much credence in this man's thighs. So, yeah, people were actually losing their mind thinking that man's thighs was going to run us to the playoffs. That, Lisa said we were leg fished. She said we weren't catfished, we were leg fished. We were. We absolutely were. That was not and then Frank Darby too. Remember Frank Darby had the little one-handed catch with the shorts on, and everybody was ready to put him in the top 10 Falcon receivers before he played one down. We all remember that. So yeah, it's amazing how a pitcher will do that for you. So it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Leg fished. I got to use that one. So yeah, so that's what it was. I just thought coming back just to see what everybody was thinking about these. Jermaine says weak thighs, flimsy legs. Yeah, I just buyer beware, man. Just buyer beware. We were not. I know we were sold a bag of goods. I think we saw what he did against us in Carolina the year before. And for some reason, they thought they were going to catch lightning in a bottle. You know, when he kind of took McCaffrey's place for a good part of 2020, and we thought we were going to get that same love. And it just, I mean, like I said, I think Mike Davis is a nice backup. If we were paying him backup money, I could understand that, but I just don't think he's a starting back. And we paid him. Well, we brought him in as a starting back. Lisa says we were just looking for something on this team to give us hope. Hey, well, that didn't work. That didn't work at all. He says one thing for sure on this draft is going to tell us the direction our team is going for in the next few years. Last year, I think they let the media get to them. Yeah, I don't think I can argue with that at all. This draft is going to be very important. I think last year's draft, we were trying to literally just build a team. We were trying to fill out a roster. All the guys we drafted last year will be 1 year in, including Mayfield, who I know everybody wants to dog out. But I think after a year, after another offseason, after another year of coaching, we will see if the Richie Grants. I'm not going to put Kyle in the category because Kyle was Kyle. The Richie Grants, the Jalen Mayfields, the folks that we were saying we were counting on going into the season to say, we need you. This wasn't the 2016 year where we said we need 3 starters. No, we need these guys for the future. Gotta have these guys. Got to. Orion says every running back looked good against us. This is true. But that particular year, I was talking about that year, Carolina beat us in the dome, I think it was, and he ran crazy particular year. So that was tough. Jermaine says we was looking at Mike Davis like the Russian boxer on Rocky. I forgot his name, Drago. And then ended up getting beat down at the end of the season the way Rocky beat him down to throw in the damn towel. Yeah, I just think it never really clicked. And then, of course, with the emergence of Cordell Patterson, I think you didn't need Mike Davis to be that number one guy anymore. You probably just needed him to spell Patterson some snaps, but you really didn't need him to be that guy because we got a lot of production from Patterson. John says Mike Davis mad at the crucial mistake of trying to run behind his blocks, and there were no blocks to run behind. Now, I will say this. At the end of the year, we did better run blocking now, considering that we were averaging 3 yards a carry, or right below 3 yards a carry earlier in the season. Near the end, some of those games, even against Tampa Bay, even against Buffalo, some of those games, we actually started running the ball a little better. The problem is when you get behind, you have to kind of toss out the chance of running anymore. I'm not trying to sit here and try to explain or try to suggest that the Atlanta Falcons were on their way to being a 2,500 yard a season running team. But I like some of the run blocking near the end of the year, and not just with Patterson. Allison got a couple of nice little looks near the end and was able to, make some hay this year. It's kind of sad that he probably not going to get his opportunity to. It'll be our luck he shows up with some other team and probably does some stuff. I'm not saying anything earth-shattering, but he'll be a solid backup, because I saw a couple of times he came in last year that he did not look bad. And so, again, given this offensive line one more year to hopefully gel, hopefully, do some things. I hope we get that. I hope we do. Jermaine says, which game last season was the best running game yardage-wise? Was that Jacksonville? Maybe the Jacksonville game. I'm not sure, but I'm going to look real quick. Maybe that Jacksonville game. I think we rushed for quite a few yards in that particular game. 2021 Atlanta Falcons. Let's check it out. Okay. Offense, rushing yards. Jacksonville Jaguars, 149 yards. And okay, so that was week 12. Week 12, 149. Week 13 against Tampa Bay, 121. Week 14 against Carolina, 128. Now then we went back down to earth against San Francisco, 62 yards. We didn't rush well against Detroit, 47. I remember us rushing well against Buffalo, 96, but 96 against a Buffalo team that's actually legit. And then, of course, the New Orleans Saints shut us down for what we were at the end of the year. But yeah, that was a nice little time when we were actually running the ball. Again, nobody's trying to say we were great, and I know it was Jacksonville, so I'm not going to sit here and try to brag about a team, running on a team that's not exactly the greatest. But at least there are things that you can look forward to. There are things, let's see if things change from year one to year two. We had a lot of young folks on the field. Still had an emerging Michael Walker on the field. You had Richie Grant finally getting some time. You got, as John was saying, Rush got on the field. The young man from Notre Dame, the edge rusher, whose motor was pretty good. Now you got to get his technique down and be able to learn how to rush at these quarterbacks. Still got to get somebody on the edge. I think just whether that ends up being free agency, and I'm not saying Dante Fowler money free agency, or somebody out of the draft, we've got to put pressure on the quarterback. You're not going to be able to do that. Not going to be able to keep letting folks have all that time back there. Orion says draft every Georgia Bulldog player that available, at least we will have players with chemistry on the field. Yeah, nice in theory, but all of those guys aren't going to pan out. Every last one of them. I've been hearing a lot of folks ask about, well, do you take Jordan Davis at number 8? I don't think anybody's going to take him that high. It would be intriguing to see if you could grab him, especially if you're going to get rid of Tyler Davison or someone. But I just think at that number 8 position, I don't know. I'm still thinking I got to get somebody to put pressure. Now, Jordan Davis can probably put some pressure on the quarterback. He definitely showed that he could move. So who knows? Maybe he could be somebody that we look at and be able to draft to put some more beef on that interior line. Therefore, opening up some things on the edge to put pressure on the quarterback. I just saw too many times that we let mediocre quarterbacks have 5 to 7 seconds back there in the back. And now this year, when we're going to the NFC South is probably going to be our best chance to win games. We play NFC North and the AFC North. And the AFC North now all of a sudden has a couple of quarterbacks there that you got to worry about with Joe Burrow. And, well, I say after Baker Mayfield, he's kind of leveled out. But don't know what the situation with Pittsburgh is going to be. They're going to probably be downshifting, but you still got to deal with Lamar Jackson as well. So you have some quarterbacks that you got to, get used to. King, what's going on, King? Say he's working with Chuck Smith, and that's a plus. Hopefully, maybe that'll be a good thing. I think he's going to be not. If there was a team with a 3-4 defense, I think Jordan Davis would be ideal right there. I do. I think you could have him be an excellent nose guy. I think he could have the potential to be another. I would say Aaron Donald. He could be another Vita Vea or somebody of that ilk. I really like the prospects for him. I'm kind of wondering at number 8, is that a stretch? Maybe. But I don't know. Nakobe Dean, like his motor. A little concerned about whether his eyes, and I know we have small linebackers, so I'm not saying it won't work. But if you're going to use a top 10 pick, I don't want to. I'm tired of potential. I hear it all the time. He has the potential to be. No, I don't want potential. I want some folks that's ready to play. For all the criticism I give the Atlanta Falcons for drafting a tight end at number 4, Kyle Pitts was ready to play. Now, they didn't put him up the bat like they should have early in the year, but Kyle Pitts was ready-made. So you have to give him a lot of credit on that. I want some folks that's coming out of the draft, when they cross over there and put that hat on, when they leave the stage, they can put a helmet on and start for the Atlanta Falcons in 2022. Enough of the, got to let them get time. No, these guys, it's time. Time for these guys to do what they need to do. Orion says, even if Davis can't get pressure on the quarterback, he will have to be double teamed to be stopped. So that will free somebody up to get the quarterback. Exactly. That's what I said a little bit earlier. If we were, and I know we do some kind of a little mush 3-4 and fall back to 4-3. Yeah, size alone, you're probably going to have to get a couple of people on him because it's not like he's slow. He was going up against some of them Alabama Hogs in that national championship game, and if anything, that's something that you got to think about. You saw what he did against them. If you can see that, you have the potential to do some things. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they drafted him. But I think if I had to take a choice, if either Hutchinson, Thibodeau, or I don't know. I don't know about Jermaine. Yeah, maybe. But I'm just so I really need this edge rusher. Just need the edge rusher. We need some folks that can put some pressure on the quarterback, and it's hard. We haven't had it since. I know nobody wants to say it. We haven't had it since Vic Beasley. You got to give Vic Beasley credit that year, but we haven't had it. And long term, we haven't had it since Abraham was here. So that's it. Almost goes back to the edge rushing and the offensive line. The offensive line, when we had some stability in 2016 and 17, you saw what we did. Now, all those folks are gone, except Jake. And it'll take a little while. It took a little while to rebuild and get the right mix. Dub, what's going on? Dub said, what's crazy is everyone is screaming defense, but praising Matt Ryan and his contract. But his contract, backloaded or not, will not put us in a financial leverage. Let me make sure I read that right. Everyone is screaming defense, but praising Matt Ryan and his contract. But his contract, backloaded or not, will not put us in a financial leverage. Okay. Hope I'm reading that right. So I'm trying to say, are you saying his contract won't hamper us? Is that what you're saying? I guess maybe I might be reading this wrong. I know I hear people talking about defense. You're right about that. I don't know who's praising Matt Ryan. Yeah, maybe you got some of the people who just are in love with him that's praising him. But I haven't seen a lot of people praise his contract. That's for sure. Even the people that like Matt Ryan aren't praising that contract. Because that hurts no matter what. King said Abraham and Coleman were beasts. Absolutely. Rod Coleman? Absolutely. Yes, sir. Orion says, what side of the ball would you focus on during the draft and why? And I think I just answered it. I think Orion, as the offense to me, as bland as it may have been this past year, I think that those are things that if Arthur Smith was brought in here to be that guy, that offensive guy, that guru, some of the things he did with some of these no-name folks on the team was pretty good. And remember, we didn't play a lot with Calvin Ridley this year. We didn't play a lot with a consistent running back. Even with the Cordero running back situation, that wasn't as consistent. And there were some games that we actually did some good things. I had some good play calls. The one thing I just think on this team is that you've got to fortify that pass rush to see the Tyler Heineke's, and I'm just thinking of quarterbacks that we played that were garbage. I'm going back, and I say garbage. We played Jalen Hurts this year. He killed us. Tampa Bay, that's Tom Brady, so whatever. We played Daniel Jones. He almost killed us. We played Tyler Heinicke. He killed us. We played Zach Wilson. He almost came back in the last minute. We played Tua, who threw 3 interceptions and still came back and almost beat us. We played Carolina, and at that time, Carolina in the dome, it was Sam Darnold, who didn't just nipped and did little things to beat us. New Orleans, I mean, dude, Trevor Siemian almost came. Well, he took the lead. If not for the long pass to Kyle Pitts, that was a bad thing. And all these games that I'm mentioning, and even Trevor Lawrence didn't have a great game against us. We actually played good against him. For all of those games that we played, those guys still. Oh, the guy from Detroit, Was that Boyle? Second string guy? Almost came here to the Benz and beat us. The second string guy on a 2-13 team almost beat us. So when you start thinking about all those quarterbacks, the one thing they had in common in those games, that they weren't running for their lives. They had an opportunity to go through 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 progressions. And so when you start talking about what side to key on, I think you've got to think about whatever it's going to take to put pressure on the opposing quarterback. And so for me, that's the defensive line and upgrading your linebackers. Now, would it be nice to have somebody on the other side of AJ to help out? Absolutely. But I still think having someone to affect the quarterback makes your secondary better, and vice versa. Though having a great secondary can give more coverage sacks to some of those guys. But I gotta have some more motor, man. Gotta have some more motor. Dub J says absolutely it won't help the little capital that we got. King says I think we need one good tall 6'6" receiver. I'm not dismissing the need for wide receivers too. And that's obvious, King, because we have one, because Calvin is officially on the roster, but he hasn't been active, so I'm discounting him. There's one wide receiver right now on our roster, and that's Frank Darby. So, yes, not only do we need a 6'6" receiver, we need a 6'4" receiver, we need a 5'10" receiver, we need receivers. But I think this draft is so full of receivers right now coming out. I don't think you're going to have to wait till the 6th round like we did with Darby to do that. And look, let's hope. Look, for all the jokes about Darby and the one-handed catches and shorts and stuff, let's hope a year into this system and a year working with Arthur Smith that he does turn out to be a pretty good receiver. I hope so. I'm saying a lot of things in jest, but I hope he does develop, and I hope he does take it to the next level. You know, there's going to be a free agent wide receiver out there. Who knows? Maybe even Gage will come back. So, we'll see. I'm sorry, Sean. You're absolutely right. Sean says that long pass was the CP84. You're absolutely right. My bad. I was thinking about the Pitts pass. What was the Pitts pass? Was that what was that Miami? Because Pitts did one too. Pitts had a catch too. Maybe that was the Miami game. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Against the Saints. That was Patterson. My bad. I was thinking about the Miami catch, and I'm pretty sure. Remind me of that. I'm pretty sure that was it. Got it mixed up, bro. It was so few. I should have remembered that. My bad. Orion says, so that being said, how are we supposed to put up points on the board? Because if I'm not mistaken, our defense only had 21 defensive turnover points. Look. When you talk about a team devoid of talent, Orion, I hear what you're saying. And here's the key to your question. There probably isn't a wrong answer. Do we need offensive linemen? Yeah. Do we need defensive linemen? Yep. Do we need running backs? Yep. Do we need wide receivers? Yep. Do we need safeties? Yep. Do we need linebackers? Yeah. Do we need a quarterback just in case? Yep. I even go a step further. Do we need a punter? Yep. So when you ask the question, it's not about, to me, I just say what my emphasis is. The same way you're talking about, the defense, I could say the same the other way around. Look, there are some that's going to say, get an offense that can outscore anybody, and you'll be in good shape. See the Falcons 2016. There are some that says have a overpowering defense and just score enough just to win. I really don't even have a problem with either of those philosophies. But for the Falcons, I just want something. Just give me something. So I absolutely see what you're saying, but I don't think you can go wrong with emphasizing on either side. Lisa says, I think the Pitts catch was in London against the Jets. Nah, he made a catch, but no, it was because Miami we won in the last second, right? Wasn't that the game that they threw the long pass down to? They threw a pass to Pitts to he threw two passes to Pitts in that drive. I'm pretty sure that was the Miami game, right? I'm pretty sure that was the Miami game where he threw the two passes to him. I thought it was. John says, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Orion says, so basically, we need to rebuild the offense and defense. Basically, we need to rebuild our whole team. Younghoe Koo is a free agent. There's no guarantee you can pay him to come back. We are in such a horrible place because of the finances that we do have to rebuild. It's a sad thing to say, Ariane, but we do. And that's not trying to poo-poo the Falcons, but they know it. It's a lot of work to do. Sean says, see, 2020 or 2019, that defense. See, 2020 or 2019 was defense that won the division. Talking about Saints. And, yeah. The Saints and Tampa Bay. John Harris says, Ryan better be in weightlifting and passing camps right now. And he does not need to take no wide receivers or no kumbaya camp just to toss the pigskin around. But he might have to, though. Because everybody, you know what? I almost disagree with you there. Every wide receiver that's going to be on this squad is going to be new. So if it's going to be a time that you have Matt Ryan camp and bring people down to Florida and y'all go throw the ball and toss it around so you can get to learn how they are, this will be the year. This is going to be the year to do that. So I disagree with you with that. Twan says, well, as far as wide receiver, I think we definitely need to draft one or maybe two. We could sign OZ and Christian Blake back on cheap deals. Yeah, I'm not suggesting not to draft a wide receiver. But as I was seeing people talk about drafting a wide receiver at number 8, I don't think I'll say this from an order of merit for me. And you're talking about somebody who was screaming quarterback last year. That can't even be reality at number 1. Your number 1 person has to be, in my opinion, an edge rusher that's ready to play now, or a cornerback that's ready to play now, or a game-wrecking defensive lineman that's ready to play now. You got to go somewhere along that line. Wide receiver would absolutely help if you got somebody that was really talented. But from what I'm looking at and what I've been reading, it sounds like this is going to be a deep draft for wide receivers. You have 2 second-round picks, and judging by what might happen with Calvin Ridley, you might end up getting another pick too. So the story is not written quite yet on February 23rd. I'm sorry, February 24th. So let's see how it all ends out. Hey, what's going on? Armani was said, "What's up? We just need to face the fact that we're in a rebuild period." But remember what Thomas Dimitrov said when he said he did when Arthur Blank told him to do. With big contracts come huge cap hits. He didn't lie, and I'm not going to put this all on Dimitrov. Some of us need to look at the owner. And earlier, before you chimed in, Amari, there was definitely a balance of blame when it's concerned. Because listen, as much as Thomas can suggest where to write the checks, Arthur signs them. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that questioned Jerry Jones when he held out for Dak for a couple of years and franchised him twice, right? And maybe Jerry was trying to say, hey, well, let's see how he's going to be before we sign him to this big contract. Let's give him another year. I don't blame him. That's big money. Now, will this regime learn from the mistakes, the sins of the fathers? Absolutely. I don't think you're going to see Terry them have an outrageous contract. Or if you're going to have a contract, not have it so long. You might be nearing the end of the days of the 6 and 7 year contract. I'm surprised they did 10 with Patrick Mahomes. And I know you can void some of the years early on. But I'm surprised that they do long contracts like that still. I don't think it's smart. To me, there's too many things you can do. Lisa said, it's been 14 years. Ryan isn't weightlifting anything except the ice cubes. Yeah, I think his days of hardcore weightlifting are probably done. If anything, he's probably getting his cardio up and everything like that. But, again, I also make sure that I give Matt Ryan his love. Matt Ryan does not quit. 16 games this year, 16 starts. Say what you want to say. Everybody can't do that. I would love if the talent matched the durability. It's the one thing you can't take away from Matt Ryan. If Matt Ryan is starting the season, it's a 90% chance he's gonna finish the season. And with all the sacks that he takes and all the hits that he gets, I am totally shocked that he's only missed 3 games in his whole entire career. So I will give that credit. As much as I poo-poo everything else, I will give him that credit. Amanda says, I wish Terry would grab a quarterback. This first pick, I'm going to slap him on his ball head. Don't be surprised. Hey, look, if we end up getting another first-round pick from somebody, who knows? Maybe he could. I just don't think it would be smart this year. I think he realizes they can't do that this year. Orion says, I don't know, Unc. I can't get excited about next season because every position is a business deal. For example, trading Grady, Aluakon, Dion Jones, but not the quarterback position. Well, Aluakon is a free agent, so he's probably not going to be able to get re-signed. Yeah, trading Grady. Yeah, I mean, here's the problem, and I'll pull it up because you might not have been on a little earlier when we were watching. This salary cap is real. This salary cap thing is absolutely real. Matt Ryan. Pull this up one more time and show this in the screen. And let me see if I can boost this up one more. There we go. So when you start talking about Matt Ryan, and the out year is this year, after this year, $40 million cap. I hear what you're saying about what it looks like with Dion and Grady and stuff like that. Because of what we've done with this contract, this is the best you're going to be able to get this year. That $40 million, that $48 million debt, that's a huge cap. And even if you were to cut him straight out or trade him, you still have to account for $40 million. That's a lot. When you go back to the Grady situation, when you go back to Grady, Grady is actually, his situation is a little friendlier. Grady Jarrett, you can actually afford to trade him because you wouldn't have as much of a dead cap hit. You have $7 million. But you got to find a trade partner though. Somebody's gonna have to soak up that 16 mil. And then somebody will. Somebody will. If they did. That's a lot. Yeah, I don't think it's ideal that we getting rid of some of those guys and you're not thinking about Matt, but when you think about it, that's the business, man. That's the business part. None of us like it, but that's it. John says Smith is trying to get Ryan better as a quarterback. He don't need to be subject those new wide receivers to him in a setting without coaches to correct any bad habits they pick up from him. And I still think that there's going to be a plan B. I just think that unfortunately the plan B can't happen until after this albatross of a contract is gone. I mean, there could be some free agent that we're thinking about bringing in. I don't know. But I know when you have somebody that accounts for almost a fourth of your salary cap, it's kind of hard to think about any other moves. It's hard. I would love to think about the future, but it's hard to think about the future when you know the guy that you have right now. Even if you traded him, you still have $40 million, a fifth of your contract that you can't touch. That's a fifth of your contracts that's holding up space. I say a fifth of the contract, but the cap space you have holds up a fifth of the salary cap. That's what I should say. That's a lot. And I'm not saying it's right. I don't want to just get rid of Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett has done nothing but, to me, been again, aside of Jake Matthews. I know a lot of people don't want to give him credit, but aside of Jake Matthews, Grady Jarrett has arguably been the most consistent player on this team. The most consistent. And some of you will say Matt Ryan for 4,000 yards, 9 years. He's been, because I get it. I hear you. But I still argue Jake Matthews and Grady have been the most consistent. I don't want to just see them give away. Dion Jones had a really tough year, especially second year into his big money. That's a tough year he's had. Folks don't want to hear excuses. Folks want to see stuff on the field. But I'll say this, Dion Jones is more of a candidate for restructuring this year than the other two guys. They could probably stretch his money out a little bit better than they can do Matt Ryan. And with Grady, if they make a decision on Grady Jarrett, which I think they should have last year, if they make a decision on Grady Jarrett to keep him, that'll help some things out too. But it's going to be a lot of money that you're going to have to pay down the line. Grady, for making him wait, Grady's not going to be got for cheap. Because they made him wait for this contract, you're going to have to pay the piper for that one. Orion says, we always let go of the good players we have, and they go elsewhere and show out. Yes and no. I think when you start looking at it, the only people recently that have done that is Devondre Campbell. He's one of them. I can't really, I don't know. Sanu left. Gabriel left. Freeman left. Think about all the people from the Super Bowl team. Who has really left and balled out since they left? Coleman, did he ball out in Frisco, or was he just a nice rotational guy in Frisco? I think he's rotational. Mere fact that he's on his third team should show you that he hasn't exactly done much. So, yeah, I don't know about that too much. I even go way back to Michael Turner left and never caught on with another team. Roddy White never caught on to it. Roddy White didn't retire because he wanted to. Roddy White, nobody wanted to pick him up. So while that statement sounds like it's factual, it's not really. Quite honestly, I'm just trying to think of the last person that left here. Big Beasley, Tat McKinley. Who's the last person that left here and truly balled out as a free agent or a trade? It's been a second, unless it's somebody I'm forgetting. Well, I don't know. Orion also says, you're right. We don't want to hear excuses, but there's always an excuse for Matt. And that's why, as somebody who in his prime absolutely supported Matt, defended Matt, and willing to go to bat for my quarterback, it's just been hard to justify lately. And it's hard to keep saying the same things over and over again. One of the things I love when I keep seeing people post, why y'all talk about Matt Ryan so much? Why y'all talk about Matt Ryan so much? It's the same reason people in New Orleans talked about Drew Brees so much. They talked about in New England Tom Brady so much. They talked about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers so much. It's not so much the matter of the winning the championship too, which that does have something to do with it. There are Green Bay people that's ready to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. There are people in Seattle that were ready to get rid of Russell Wilson 3 years ago when the Legion of Boom was pretty much all gone. I mean, there were actually foolish people in New England that were ready to turn the page on Tom Brady. And the thing that all those guys have in common that I was bringing up is longevity. If you're in a franchise for more than 12 to 15 years, I'm sorry. You're going to get the good with the bad. It's crazy. If you're with a team for 3 years and they're talking about you a lot, that's one thing. You're with somebody 12 to 15 years, of course they're going to talk about you. You've been there forever. And if the fortunes haven't changed, maybe there is a thought to move on. We were talking earlier about the Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. That was probably a decent move at the time to say, well, maybe Jordan Love, because Aaron Rodgers might be just the highest he can get to. He can't take us any further. He took it to us a long time ago. That was that 2010? It's 12 years later. Drew Brees the same way. Drew Brees, that was 2009, 8? And 12 years later, never got back to the bowl. It's only so much you can live off that one Super Bowl. So it's legit. Let's see. Let's go back here. Orion says Allen went to the Super Bowl with the Bengals. He went to the Super Bowl with the Bengals. He wasn't a major factor. He wasn't a major factor with the Bengals. Actually, he was hurt too. He got hurt a couple of times. He wasn't a major. Come on now. Come on, you better than that. Neil kind of did his thing with the Cowboys. Were the Cowboys a better defense for Neil? Or were they a better defense because of Parsons? And that defensive line and Trayvon Diggs, and I hear you, but was he balling? It almost goes back to the Ricardo Allen thing too. Were they significant? Neal may have been. I also think if Neal was that valuable, he'd be signed right now. He's a free agent. So, and maybe, who knows, maybe they will resign him. Neal, I don't know about that one. Definitely don't know about Ricardo Allen. Same thing, probably somebody who gave them some leadership, but I don't know. Hold on, Chadwick, how you been doing, brother? Good to see you popping back in here. We're just talking about, of course, things we're going to talk about up into the future, and more importantly, things coming up to the middle of March when the teams need to get under the salary cap. Falcons definitely are going to be doing something. So, we'll see how that goes when we get in there. Brother Conscious says facts. Appreciate that. Rusty says AJ is a top 3 corner in the league, and I'm gonna tell you, Rusty, to be able to pair him maybe with Sauce, maybe with Stingley, I don't know. That would be intriguing too. I think I said cornerback when I talked about one of the positions that you would possibly think about getting. That wouldn't hurt my feelings either to do that. What's up? Twan says, Uncle Steve, no player left Atlanta and balled out. Matter of fact, I can't name one player in the past 10 years that has left and balled. And this is no disrespect to y'all who brought up Neal and Allen. Both of them were part of better organizations and had better success. But individually, did they truly elevate the fortunes of those teams? Neal made some decent plays this year, but that Dallas defense was clearly led by Parsons and Gregory and Lawrence and Diggs. It wasn't like they kept the spotlight on. It's not like they kept the spotlight on Neal. That dare I say, Casey showed out a little bit more than Neal did, in my opinion. All right, I'll say they might not was balling, but they went to a better defense and successful team. That's true. But I'm talking about from a sense, yeah. When you talk about leaving, I'm talking about leaving and being a significant part of the team. I'll say this. When Tevin Coleman left and went to San Francisco and they went to the Super Bowl, I would almost put that close to was balling, but he was also part of that rotation with Breida and Moser at that time. So it was kind of hard to give him full credit on that particular one. But yeah, it's a stretch, y'all. I mean, come on now, for real. Keep it real. It's a stretch. Who balled out? And balled out, I mean, elevated their game. Elevated their game. That's what I mean. Elevated. Rusty says Alex Mack still a lead at center, and I might give him credit because I think he was a Pro Bowler this year. Yeah, Alex Mack has not. He had the one bad year, the year he was done with us because he got injured a lot that year. Alex Mack was not horrible when he was here, but so yeah, I would kind of put him on that same list. The only caveat I would put there is that Alex Mack wasn't really from here. He came from Cleveland, then to Atlanta. I don't know. I guess I could say it because I say it's a new. So I guess okay. Alex Mack is kind of in that category. Twan says, I have a question. Now with Oliver hopefully coming back to the ATL, do you think we still get the cornerback in the first 3 rounds? I would hope so, but I really like how Oliver came in this year. I say yes for 2 reasons. One, Oliver has not been consistent. If you remember in the 2019 year, and that was the year that we started atrocious, and then in the last 8 games, Isaiah Oliver was arguably the best cornerback on that team during that last stretch. Then in 2020, he kind of reverted back to that guy who, we drafted that was kind of green. And all fairness to him, he was thrown into the fire early in 2018 because all of the injuries. He started off well this year, and I think he would have done well this year. But I still think you need to draft another cornerback. He comes back for 1 year. You don't sign him for any more than that. Sign 1 year, $2 million, 1 year, $2.5 million, something like that. And let's see if he can regain that form that he had at the beginning of the year when it seemed like he was going to be pretty good. So let's see. Orion says, so if you was a player and left to another team and won the Super Bowl, but didn't play as much, are you still a Super Bowl champion? Absolutely. And again, I'm not trying to tell you all of the, look, if I'm on a basketball team and I start and then I go to Golden State and I'm coming off the bench, of course I'm still a champion. I might not have contributed as much, but I'm still a champion. Differences in these particular cases in football, listen, nobody was keying on Ricardo Allen and where he was. Nobody was accounting for Keanu Neal and see where his position was on the field. So that does make a difference to me. When you leave one team and go to another, nobody's going to deny that Ricardo Allen was on a Super Bowl team. There's nothing we can do about that. Of course he was. But at the same time, do you really seriously think he had a better year? He was much better? I don't think so. I think, matter of fact, if anything, I think Ricardo Allen was better Super Bowl year and in 17 than he was any of the other years. But I disagree. Chadwick, that's a very good one. Saying Dion bailed when he bailed. That's actually probably very true. That is probably the last person that you can say absolutely. I will say that. That's true. Chadwick says draft a third or later quarterback with promise. I can live with that as well. Twan says, I don't think Ricardo Allen had over 15 tackles this year. And he probably did it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to diminish Ricardo Allen's team success. Of course, his team made it to the Super Bowl and within a few seconds of being Super Bowl champs. He's used to that. All I'm saying is, I just think that he didn't get better. He didn't were either on the same level and improve. And Deion Sanders is probably the last good. And if you really want to go old school, since we go on Deion Sanders, Gerald Riggs actually won a Super Bowl, if I'm mistaken, with Washington when he left Atlanta. So give him some credit on that too. Ariel says, you're right. you're right. But when they put you in and you did your job, you bailed out. You balled out. Oh, there's so many. It kind of depends, though. If I'm not gonna listen, Orion, I'm not gonna argue with you. I hear what you're saying, but I just think there are some examples that may not exactly fall in line with that. I hear what you're saying. Ricardo Allen left Atlanta. They won the Super Bowl. I got it. I hear you. I just I got you. Chadwick says Favre. I forgot about Favre. Absolutely. Absolutely. D, what's going on? Says, oh, hey, brother, what's going to say? I hope we get Sauce. Yes, Sauce would absolutely. We just talked about that. Sauce and or Stingley, even though Sauce seems like to be the hot name at the cornerback. I would not mind getting him at all with that pick. Orion says, I got to mess with you tonight, man. Hey, dude, I'm messable. It's all good. But your point is legit, though. Don't get me wrong. Your point is legit because I think the what I was going for was kind of like Chatwood says, Favre, Sanders, people who kind of elevated as they left off. Matt was a good one that Rusty brought up and things like that. If you're just on the team and just happen to be a part of a winning team and you kind of hanging on, I don't know. But I hear you, brother. You know it's all good. Twan says, to me, balled out is making the Pro Bowl or all pro team. And see, and I'm closer to that definition, even though if you improved your play, I'm there. I'm there. Chatwood says Schaub, and I know a lot of people are going to laugh about that, but Schaub actually did play well once he left Atlanta. For those of you who don't remember, the year Vic was drafted, Schaub was it was very similar to the RG3 Kirk Cousins situation. RG3 was drafted first quarterback, and they drafted Kirk Cousins, I want to say third round, fourth round, whatever it was. Might have been second round. I don't know. But the year they drafted Vic, they drafted Schaub out of Virginia in the same thing, third or fourth round. And Schaub left here, went on to start many years and really gave a lot of those throws to Andre Johnson down in Houston when he was there. So that's a legit one when you start talking about that. I'm just not gonna put Ricardo Allen in that category. I feel you. Y'all do whatever makes you happy, but I just think Ricardo Allen, again, appreciate what he did here. Solid leader. Haven't had a leader like that, like somebody said earlier, in a long time. So just kind of good to have him on that track. Folks, I passed my 2-hour limit. I said I was going to only be around an hour and a half, but it's time for me to roll. I will definitely be on sometime this weekend, and probably either Friday or Saturday. So look for me then, and I will catch y'all then. And look, y'all have a great couple of days. I'll get with y'all this weekend, and we'll continue the conversation about our Atlanta Falcons and anything else. I wanted to touch a little bit today on the little girl in the song about not Atlanta. I just thought that was so intriguing, but maybe I'll say that for this weekend. I was out of town when all of the stuff hit about that, and as somebody who was born and raised here on the West Side, and I was feeling her a little bit, but as an older school guy, I wanted to give my perspective on that. So we'll do that this weekend. Until then, y'all take care of yourself. Be blessed.